Hello, hello.
Oh, hello.
Hi, Sam.
Hello, Jamie. How are you today?
It's okay, I guess. How about you?
Yeah, I'm good today. Thank you.
That's great. Hugo, are you there? Howdy. Oh, it's very noisy. Oh, sorry. You have quite a life there, man. Too bad you don't have an office somewhere. Are kids not in school or anything? Is that, everybody's just home all the time? Is that what's going on?
Hey, Jeremy.
Hey.
Well, we have a lot of people in one apartment,
Okay.
and I don't have a separate room for an office here, and I'm trying to not stay in the office all hours, 24 hours a day. But yeah, that's basically the situation. We've got maybe three families in the place. My partner's sister moved back in with 2 kids somewhat recently, which we weren't. But we'll see what happens over the next few months.
You mentioned you might want to head back to London sometime soon.
Oh, definitely not. But I'm buying a place in Wales at the moment. I just go back to London if there's extra money to be made, or I have to see some customers, something like that, or see some family. But no, normally I'm here in Sydney nowadays, or here in Brisbane. But I can't. If I travel out of Hong Kong at the moment, it will be tricky for me to get back in. So I'm somewhat indirectly trapped.
All right. Well, noise doesn't bother me, but if you'd like to, that's fine. Let's see here. Were you able to do any of your homework yet, Hugo?
No, I'm in the Jeremy zone now until I have 2 hours right before this session, and then so that's fully booked for that work.
Yes.
I think 2 hours should be more than enough.
Yeah, it should be. It should be. I haven't done mine yet either. So wonderful. Well, I thought I would take this time to let me do something here to just do some you know what? Hold on. Share screen options. That's interesting. Hey dude. Hey Don.
Hey,
let's see.
how's it going?
Oh, it's going. I'm tired. It's tough to get going this early in the morning sometimes. So let's see here. I was thinking about what to talk about. It's always just like, what are people interested in at a particular time? What's going on in your world? Since it's the same people every time, it's kind of nice to have that, but it's also, it can be we can get used to it, and maybe we can start doing a flow. I wanted to just show a little bit. I'm working on a website for someone. This is right up Hugo's alley as far as building a website. I don't think I can turn it on because it is. I can turn on one of them. Well, this is a website that I'm building with some people that uses the data API to get data from the FileMaker file. And we're just using a lot of JavaScript. Like, we're going to talk about this coming up, Hugo, map kind of thing. But this is just using the data API in my one of my places here. I've got an API. Actually, here, I'll show you my. Let me show you mine instead. Let me show you mine instead, because that's easier to show. So I am building a website I've shown this a little bit before, but I'll get into a little bit of the details here. I'm building a website where this stuff right here, as well as the topics that we talk about, are generated from FileMaker. And I've shown that a little bit here. What I'm loving is that the way that I'm building this website, I can create some APIs. So like get curriculum. I wrote a function here to go to a particular layout in my FileMaker file. Let's see, where is it? So I have a file called Json FM trainings. It's on my host, and I want this function will go to this layout. It will use the API right here as a this is an API client. So there's a function that I'm using called API client, and it's taking this string here and it's going to get the data and returning it back. So when I am on my JS training file, down at the very bottom, I've got a function here that gets all my important information. Actually, this is a different one, API trainings. And it's really hard it's kind of hard to explain fully, but this actually goes to, it takes all my information, it runs a function called get records, and it goes and gets my data and it returns it to this main page. This main page this is a component in, this is a React component. So it's the page, this is the page that generates this stuff right here. So you can kind of see the complete course is right. Where is it? Learn to harness the power. Actually, okay, so that is up here. So we've got the complete course in JavaScript and FileMaker. And then down here, this is where I'm getting all of the courses. And I'm taking that courses that I got from down here. So this is getting my courses, get the records. And we're just bringing it into this JavaScript component, this React component, doing some work with it here. And Hugo, we're going to be talking about this later on. But the idea is that we take an array of the records that come in from FileMaker, and I'm going to, in this area right here, I am taking this array and I'm mapping over them, and I'm creating one list element per record. So all of these records are from FileMaker. And here is the main code that is working that out, that is creating tables and rows and columns to show this information here. So again, I'm able to go to my FileMaker file and go to the trainings list and maybe just take the binge group 3 because that's over, or binge group 3, that's over. I can unpublish it, I think. Does that work? It should work. One sec. Yeah. Oh. Fix that. So if I unpublish this, then I push it to the site. I ask, FileMaker is actually triggering my website to go refetch the data. And then when that happens, that course is removed, or that cohort is removed. So this is the function that's doing it, that's going to get my data and returning it to this web page right here. It's bringing it in, and then it's mapping over it to create one row per record. So it's a lot here, but it's actually fairly straightforward. And Hugo, and next week, next Tuesday, we're going to take a look at this mapping function in JavaScript that takes an array of records and it does something to each one of the records. So this is a bit complex, but here is like the detail.fieldData.session. This session field name is actually in the FileMaker file. It's one of these, I think it's this field right here. So whatever's in this field will eventually be placed into this column, I think, which then gets translated to this right here. So it's really fun to be able to do this. And I'm pretty much running my entire website now from FileMaker. This stuff right here, I don't need to run from FileMaker because it's just going to stay the same. But the actual records are going to run from FileMaker. And same for the topics. All of these come from the same FileMaker file. And it's really just using the data API for what it does. This is something I don't fully understand, but this is the actual function that is going to get all my code here. So this right here is the exact function that I trigger from FileMaker to run using my username and password, and it goes and gets the data and returns it back.
So Jeremy, I think here, when you log into FileMaker with the username and password, it gives you a token back, right? And you can't make the data request until you get the token back, which is maybe the case for, I don't know, maybe 10% of API services out there, particularly more secure ones. Do you know, so it was giving you, I saw you had in your script there that you were passing in the token.
Yep.
And so I see where you've got headers authorization bearer this token. I suppose this is storing a variable, line 42. Is it getting?
Yep.
Actually, no, sorry, I think it's probably the wrong place. I guess somewhere after 26, you're getting a token back. And then how do you make sure, because in FileMaker, of course, if we, for example, do an insert from URL to get the token back we need, it automatically delays the process for us so that we know we have the token in time to set the variable to do the second call for the data. Do you know where in this 21 to 46 JavaScript is allowing you a delay or pausing to make sure you get the token back in time for the call, so that, because even if it's execute in order, there must be a pause somewhere, because otherwise it might execute so quickly, right? So I guess it waits for this. There's a line in here where it's waiting for the token to fill a variable.
Yeah, this is pretty far outside of the scope of our course, but in JavaScript, there's an async function here. So what it does is it says async makes a function return a promise, await makes a function wait for the promise. So as I understand this whole function, so here's what happens, man. This whole thing runs in sequence, like you said. We first log in, we run a function, we just check to see if I'm storing the token somewhere in my session, in my site, I don't know where it is. It's generated automatically, like you said, or it's gotten back from the FileMaker server. Here's where I log in. Async means it's going to be an async function. It's going to just do things, and then it's going to do a bunch of waiting. That's exactly what it is. So await, we're going to fetch. We're going to try to go get right here. I believe this is where we log in. This fetch, this await here will return a response. So the .thens are like, let's wait for this to happen, then do this, then take the data and get the token out of it. So here's the data is coming in. It does data.response.token. And we just have a timeout here. So once the token is stored in this dot. I don't fully understand this. I think this is like a internal variable, like in your browser or something. So then that happens, and then the get records function can run using that URL that I'm passing in and the token that is caught. So this is the whole structure of it. This async await, this return, or I'm sorry, async await, and then the thens are what makes this happen. So I'm getting my head around this. I know how to use async and await, but this is a little bit more challenging, and someone wrote this for me, so I just use it. But this is what does the work. So FileMaker is triggering this to happen from FileMaker. In the way that I'm running this is so I just created a fake key, and I'm doing an insert from URL. This right here is pointing to my site and pointing to the API section, which then does the work. And the language, the host that I'm using, Vercel, is helping a lot with this, because I'm able to just cause these API functions to run from FileMaker. So that's really nice to be able to turn FileMaker into a content management system, to be able to pull the stuff up that's content and push it to my site. I can make the changes here. Otherwise, it's a pain in the butt to have to go to this every time and then republish my website and cause issues. So this is probably, I think Hugo, you were talking about this, but I'm using FileMaker as the back end, and the front end is the website. So
yeah, I've started to use the FileMaker API for synchronizing some solutions. So because for some FileMaker applications, I really need the data to be local and syncing. I can't stream from a server.
okay.
For some clients, and also for the Admin Engine app. So I've been using FileMaker's API quite extensively. And it's very nice to see, for me, for the first time, it being called from JavaScript. That's wonderful. And it works in exactly the same way as every other API service provider. But for me, it's nice to see how JavaScript interrogates, for sure.
Yeah,
You're an advanced course here, Jeremy?
It probably will be. Yeah, it probably will be. Yeah. Or it's, again, I'm doing like 3 websites now with this same structure. What I'm struggling with, and what I'm not quite sure I have to understand, because the data API will allow me to get data by, I think one thing I'm doing is I'm just going to a layout, and I'm getting the records from that layout. So that's one way, using the layouts endpoint with a limit on it. But I could also, and I think one of my other JavaScript functions, let's see, get curriculum. So again, this is the layouts endpoint. So I'm just getting the records from that layout. Where is that? I have a scripts. Huh. I thought I had that. Maybe I'm not, am I not doing it here? One thing I could do if I wanted is I could actually cause my website to run a script and return the data from a script. That's another way to do it. And the final endpoint is just a query. So I could just query my database. So all this stuff is still pretty, like, I'm working my way through it, but I've created, and some people have this. Postman is a great place to, oh, this is what I was doing. Okay, so in Postman, I'm going to go get a new token. I'm going to get some records. So I've got some records. So this is going to get the records in that content layout in the content table. Then I can actually have it run a script. So I'm going to send it. I'm going to tell it, I want you to run the data API run script. Actually, I'm going to turn that into a, there we go. If I run that, looks like everything's okay, but did I, let me see, yeah, it's supposed to return something. Data API. So I don't know, do you play with Postman any, Hugo?
Sorry, I had to bring my window to the front. Yes, sometimes for some very tricky or badly documented APIs, yes. But I kind of have a model in FileMaker now for testing out approaches or for interrogating the API. And what I tend to do is, if I'm using a new API service, while I'm working out how it works and its architecture and its functions and what it needs, generally I kind of maybe run, when setting up, I might run anything between 200 and 1,000 different call tests from FileMaker. And so I kind of have a kind of semi-database approach to setting up new APIs now. So I don't use Postman so much now, but I always found it useful in the beginning when I didn't really know how to encode the query, put it that way, because you can switch between different encoding mechanisms, right, in Postman very quickly. So if you don't have a good approach, or if you've got the wrong approach, you can maybe find the source of your problems more quickly, right? But sometimes when you post your approach from Postman into FileMaker, it hasn't necessarily solved the problem for you. But maybe whatever you set up in Postman is like JavaScript ready. So maybe it's easier to copy and paste from Postman into JavaScript than it is into FileMaker sometimes. Did that make any sense? Does it sound reasonable?
I go back and forth too. There are many people who have a suite in FileMaker like that. And I actually have one for, I'm using, what am I using? FormStack for a couple clients. And so I've got sort of well, this is geared to one particular thing, but I have a way I have something that's specifically designed for my application of FormStack API or a document signing service where I've got all my information here. And then I can send a document up to someone to have them sign it via this. So it's a way for me to test this, and then I can implement this into a client file. So I kind of go back and forth. I think I start in GitHub or in Postman now, and then I bring it into FileMaker, especially as I'm trying to figure out it's a lot easier to put the URL in here than it is the other way. So I don't know why this used to work. Maybe it never did actually. So I've got script, data API run script. That's the script name. Supposed to pass in this parameter and then return. Maybe I'm not quite sure what it's supposed to return because it's not. What is response script error 0? Is that anything? Maybe it's not. FileMaker data API response script error. Let's see if somebody in the community has the script error 0. Script API set. Let me try this. Let me try something here. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do, this is what I was doing the other day. I think this is what I was doing the other day. Okay, so I do that, remove that. So I'm not going to pass in a parameter from Postman. I'm just going to say data API run a script. There we go. Okay, so I'm getting the script results. I'm getting the data back as a string. And so this obviously is not perfect. I need to do some work on it. But yeah, this is exactly what I need. So I bet if I did that and I said layouts content, let me put that into my layouts content. All right, so hopefully this is going to, this should go back into that script. Nope, something is wrong with my, I'm not getting any response. It's the exact same thing, value, field, ID course, layouts. Maybe script.param is wrong. Maybe that's the wrong. Here we go. This is what I was looking for. Oh, no, script.param equals. How do I know if it's coming in or not? Oh, let's see here. How do I deal with that? It's the exact same thing, script.param. Is that the right? Yeah, update processing script.param equals. I wonder, I'm not sure what's going on. Sam, do you use Postman a lot?
Maybe you need to escape your value. I'm not sure.
Escape the quotes?
Yeah.
Maybe. I could start by passing in maybe just one of them at a time and see. No. All right, let's try something here. Let's do this. Let's do, we're gonna keep this up.
The thing is, you've got script.param in your URL at the top. Does Postman know how to just overwrite that in the right place, your value? Oh, it's doing it already. Sorry, it's constructing the URL.
That's correct.
So
yeah.
So what's okay? So what's let's look at the URL.
So everything's correct. It's just this parameter is not getting put in. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to, I learned this, it's really tough to debug, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass the parameter in, and then I'm going to immediately exit the script with the parameter. And I should get this back. So let's see, do I have all my quotes correct? Okay, so let's do this. Let's run that script, comment that out.
When you say it's not putting in your parameter, you mean into the body?
No, into the FileMaker script. It's not passing it in for some reason. Okay, so look at that. Okay. Oh, that's why. Interesting. So it is passing it in. It is passing it in because I passed it in and then I immediately exited, and that's what the script result is giving me. But it's giving it to me as a string. That's interesting. So let me, I'm gonna cheat and look at somebody else's code and see if I can figure out how to do this, because this is fun. I probably have to hide this stuff because it's, Let me stop my share quick. Once I get this up, I just want to look at somebody else's script to see how he's handling, because the parameters are coming in correct. I think it's because it's not the proper format. It's not. Here, let's do this. I'm gonna test something else out. I'm gonna say, all right. So I'll get my screen back. Share my screen again.
What are you expecting back, Jeremy?
Well, I'm expecting the results back from this query. So if let me show you what it looks like if it's correct.
Is it definitely your layout is fine for displaying the result that query?
Yep. So when I cause this script to run, and I'm using a hard-coded parameter, it passes back the data mostly correct. This is a string, and I would need to parse it and fix some things, but it is returning it. It's when I put this up and I get back that I pass the parameter in, which is the exact same. This is the exact same thing as this insert text right here. It's not returning anything. So, and I'm not trapping. I'm not doing any trapping. It obviously, I could say, so here's what I'm gonna do. Here's what I'm seeing. If I exit the script right after I pass in, I'm getting that stuff back. This is the exact thing that I passed in. It's a string, so I think that's the problem. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna pass back. I'm gonna do set variable value equal value JSON.get or JSON get elements param value, and then I'm gonna pass back the value instead and see if it's able to parse this parameter correctly. Yep, see, that's the problem. Okay. So there's nothing wrong with this. It's that my JSON is not coming in correctly. Is there anything I could do? Pre-request script. I think what I could do is, yeah, var JSON data equals JSON parse response body. That's interesting. So that's what I need to do. Pre-request script. I think what I need to do is I need to, okay, yeah. You can use pre-request scripts in Postman to execute JavaScript before a request script runs. Okay, so, or pre-request scripts. That's an interesting, maybe tests, is that? Tests are, oh, okay. Okay, so I actually need to do a pre-request. Var JSON data equals JSON parse response body. Okay, so that's coming in. We're parsing it. Okay, I see what we're doing. So here I'm going to say, boy, I don't know.
You've run that FileMaker script before, right? Past.
Yep.
Line 6.
Yes, and
okay.
it returns the data correctly. It returns. How do I? No, that's not what I want. Let me see here. I'm going to do a Postman parse JSON response test scripts. How about this? Stringify Postman query justify. let's see, PM environment, that's it. Yeah, I'm using Postman. I know how to do this in JavaScript. I don't know how to do it here where I am. What I have to do is I have to take the params and I have to stringify it. Hugo, we're actually going to talk about this today. But I have to stringify this to send it back to, it should be fine because it's actually a,
I don't know why it wouldn't be treated as a string already, but if it was and it's not now, what would you expect to see differently in the get URL? And can we see?
I'm gonna just try something. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna remove the. Oh, maybe that was the problem. Actually, I was missing a quote. Let me go back to what I had. So let's see. Layouts needs a quote.
Isn't there a space being carried forward in the URL after value colon, and that shouldn't happen, should it?
Oh, it shouldn't. Okay.
I don't think so.
Cool. So here, let's look at this outside. Let's go to Json Formatter. All right, so this is what I want, except for obviously not the quotes. So that is valid. Let's make sure there's no spaces, I guess. I don't know. All right, let's run that. Oh, unexpected token. Now I'm putting a semicolon in somewhere. Jeez. Oh, maybe I just clear that. Maybe this was running. Oh, okay. Now, okay, so now it's working. So now, because yeah, it was my fault. I didn't have quotes around all of the keys. Maybe the spaces too. I'm going to put a space in and see if that breaks it too, because that's nope. That seems to be okay. So I could have spaces in here. So now
it should remove them automatically itself. So I'm not sure why it didn't seem to be doing it before.
Well,
maybe
it was because I was missing a whole quote. I was missing a whole quote. Yeah. All right, so now if I run this, okay, there we go. Okay, so I'm able to pass the parameter in, and I'm able. So this could potentially come from JavaScript. This could come from my website to say, hey, I have a record that I want you to go find. I want you to search on the ID course field. Well, that's what I'm telling the script. Here's the query that I want you to construct or create. I want you to create. So that'll pass back in body.response.script result. Let's do that. Test run after. Yeah. So JSON.parse response body. Okay, let's try something here. So I could say create record. No, run script. Okay, so I want to say tests. I want to say const JSON equals JSON.parse response body. See what that does. I don't know. Okay. Yeah. Well, it's close. I'm getting close. Response. Yeah, I have to understand how this works because there's something wrong with this, but that's okay. Good. Okay. So now, so this is just setting in variables. what I want to do is create an environment variable, create a collection. There's a lot of variables, send a request, response body. Convert. Let's see what this does. Response PM test function. Okay. PM. I don't. Oh, Postman. Test. Anyway, okay. So now I know that I can run this, and I actually would prefer to do this in FileMaker because I can parse it better in FileMaker. If I run this script from FileMaker from JavaScript, I can get the script result. I can parse it to turn it into a JSON object, and then I can use it. Okay, that's good. That's good to know. So now I'm able to. I could actually create a record too, which is neat. I think maybe I haven't worked on this one. It looks like I haven't because I don't think this will do anything. Record access is denied. So not quite sure. Cool. All right, so that's actually, I mean, that's cool. That's what I'm using. So my exploration, my own learning is about actually using the data API to fetch data for my website. I've been doing it for 3 or 4 different projects, but someone else has constructed the queries, has constructed the functionality to do that. And I've just been calling it for different pages in the website. But here in my own website, I'm learning how to construct these myself. So that's cool. I can work that out easily. So yeah, you're right. This is advanced. I mean, this is all React too. I'm using React to handle this. Like, here's my index page. I'm using a bunch of components. I'm using, yeah, these are my components. So features. So this is really, this is really a lot. It's all this React stuff. It's actually Next.js is what I'm using, was the full language, the full implementation. But yeah, my next step is what I'm also trying to do is trying to get my blog page to work where I can have blogs posts and then it goes and fetches the data. These are just MD files, markdown files that I'm writing my blog post. And then the idea is that it can post those into its own URL. That's pretty cool. So if I didn't realize this, but I think I can do this. If I take this URL and put it, yeah, that works just fine. Actually, is it? Huh, that's interesting. Oh, you know why? Because I'm on my, I don't know why that's not working. I'll have to explore that. Anywho, yeah, that doesn't work. Anywho, that's more advanced, but it's what I've been playing with. I really just want to spend all my time on my website now to do more with this. Hey, Sam, have you ever done website building with the data API? It looks like you're familiar with it pretty well.
Not data API. I've tried to build a blog, but yeah, I'm struggling on the search and search function. Are you going to build a search bar on your website?
Am I going to do a search? So yeah. So like I'm searching for different things, right? Or are you talking about like if I click on a button, it has to go and search for certain records to show?
Yeah, maybe for example, search the JS dev environment, and then it just pop up on that documentation, something like that.
You know, I'm not going to build something like that. I'm going to build just so like I'm going to have a courses page where people can look at the different courses that I provide. I'm going to, instead of having all this, I'm going to have like the JS and FM course. When you click on that, it's going to go fetch the data from FileMaker and show it in a page. If you click on another button, it's going to go fetch that course's data and display it. So, but I'm not there yet. I got a lot to take care of still. Yeah, this is fun and interesting. I didn't know I was going to talk about this, but this is good. I was going to talk more about VS Code, but this was a good discussion, and mainly because Hugo showed up. Hugo's here today, out in the hallway of his building.
That's great. Yeah, this is very nice to see. I mean, the first day we spoke, Jeremy, this is the kind of thing I was really looking forward to or hoping to see. On the search stuff, I don't know what problem you may be facing, but I don't know, when it comes to search, I tend to, if I need search to work in a certain way, I kind of tend to always think that preparing the appropriate data for searching in the database is always helpful, rather than trying to rely on good search tools, if that makes some sense. I don't know whether your search challenges in JavaScript or your search challenges in not getting what you want out of the database, or both. But I don't know, if I face the search challenge, I'd probably try and keep it simple in the front end, or simple in JavaScript, and see what I can do on the back end to help the search work out.
Well, for me, it's a little bit different in that I'm building static pages. So this is just a static page that has SEO going. So if someone typed in binge group 3 into Google, they might find my website, right? So the data isn't gathered all the time. Binge.
Oh, you mean Google search results? Whether there's something? Well, I'm sorry, am I misreading this? But I guess when Google's robots go on your site, when they do that, your whatever's dynamically in your database, they will see, right? Even if that
No,
page,
that's the point. This is a static page.
yes.
All of this is just HTML. There's no JavaScript on this page because the host that I'm using, I'm using Vercel, and it creates, and Next.js, it creates static pages that it creates it at build time. So when I publish this, all of this text gets gathered and then stored permanently on my host.
That's good. Well, that's even safer for search engines, isn't it?
Exactly. Right. So the dynamic nature of it, in my other, for some of my other projects, we're building dynamic sites, but that's because it's just meant to be an internal thing, right? It's no SEO. It's a company login to do some work. So this is just static. So every time I publish it, there's a change that's made, and it is able to just store the text. So when I click a button, it's going to go to a specific page called second course or whatever it's called, and that page will have been constructed. If I have 2 buttons for course 1 and for course 2, each have a different page to go to that has been pre-built. So there's no fetching when you, Hugo, click on the button. There's no fetching to FileMaker. So anyway, that's about it for me. Don, have you felt any light at the end of your tunnel?
Well, my mother-in-law passed away last Tuesday, so I got big burden taken off shoulders of everybody as far as what was going on here. So kind of more of a relief than anything else.
Yeah.
I mean, it was long drawn out, and so I don't know. Everything else is just kind of business as usual. I've completely rebuilding one of the applications I wrote for the health system because they took away the data that I was able to get to before. They moved it onto a different server, and they're planning on sunsetting that whole data warehouse. So I'm having to move my data collection piece of it to another server set and everything. So that's been a little bit of extra work that I wasn't expecting to happen. And they keep bugging me. It's like, so can we shut this server down yet? It's like, well, when you get me the access to the new data, you can do it. But until I have access to the new, data warehouse and can test everything, no, you can't shut down the server. It's a event hours deal. It pulls all the oxygen delivery for every patient in all 8 hospitals and puts it into a deal to be able to look at the vent hours by each patient every month, by the average vent hours, total vent hours, and the vent hours per 1,000 patient days. Plus it looks at midnight census, how many patients in each hospital were on event at midnight. Looks at the diagnostic codes for every one of those patients to let them figure out what types of patients are being vented and any issues as far as hospital acquired conditions as far as infections or anything else due to being vented. And then also looks at what unit each patient was on when they got vented and when they had the vent removed. So they can, do a lot of analytics as far as every patient that gets put on a ventilator. So with COVID, that thing just exploded. I mean, I've been running it for 8 years, but it absolutely just exploded as far as the vent hours and stuff per month. So the most fun part on that is figuring out the calculations for each patient, because you have a patient that may have gone on a vent within this month and went off the vent within this month, but you have somebody that may have started last month, or in one case of a patient 2 years ago, have a kid whose family just will not take him off life support. His body has been dead for over 2 years. They just will not remove him from life support. I mean, he's not there, but he's on a vent for the last 2 years. So he goes way back, but he's on the vent this month. And then you have ones that went on a vent this month, but they're still on it when the month ends. Then you have ones that straddle at both ends. So coming up with, formulas to, figure out how many hours somebody was on a vent within the month, was kind of fun to do, and building that out into FileMaker to have it calculate correctly for each patient. So, but they tried to build this in other systems for about 2.5 year time frame. They kept trying to build it in different applications and could not get it to work correctly. And so somebody brought it to me and said, "Hey, do you think you could do this?" And had it down. Had one month when one patient, it was like the number was thrown way off. I'm like, going, what the hell? It happened to just match up just absolutely perfectly at midnight. This one person was taken off of event at exactly midnight, and it threw the algorithm off. So I had to fix that one, but yeah. So that's been a fun project.
Oh, wonderful. All right, folks. Well, Hugo's got some homework to do, so we'll let him go. And he's in the training. He's in my training session. He's got to get his homework done. Yeah, but this is good. I'm glad it's the normal three that show up every week. So that's good. Next week we'll talk about. I'll put in the schedule. We'll talk about VS Code and the extensions that I'm using and such like that. So we'll try to talk through some more how to use VS Code in a better way. So
Cool.
All right, folks. Talk to you later. All have a good day. See you later,
Thanks, Jerry.
Hugo. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Cheerio.